Hi, I'm Jamie Eubanks, and this is my husband, JJ, and we are Unscripted with Jamie and JJ. Not to be confused with Unfiltered with Jamie and JJ.
Oh, this one might be a little unfiltered.
Yeah, because after the first episode, we received a lot of questions. People had a lot of questions about that first episode, and we'll try to answer some of them.
I'd say we're going to answer some of them, but this is the part when, when you're doing a show like this, I think that you are always concerned of how much am I going to say, how much am I going to put out there. So, but the name of our show is Unscripted. So I'd say that, we just deliver on what the title of our show is.
Take a deep breath.
All right.
But here we go. So a lot of people say that relationships really need time to figure out if it's the right person. And our story's
a lot different.
It's very different. I mean, I think we were together for like 2 weeks before I hopped on a plane and went to Venezuela. And if you missed the first episode, you need to find out why I got on the wrong plane in Venezuela.
That's actually true, because I met you, left for 5 months.
The next day.
Once I came back, I was in the States for a couple of weeks, but then I had to go to my next job. So only a couple of weeks before, I went to Venezuela, and then I went to Canada to finish it up. So
99% of our time, you were outside of the country.
Yes. So I'd say that probably the maximum amount of time that we were actually in close proximity of each other.
This is not unfiltered. Remember, it's unscripted, so I don't think they need to know the details of what happened in that time frame.
We were in close proximity of each other.
Very close.
A couple months, okay?
Very close. But, I say the secret of our success is, I know, like, my grandparents, he was in the military, she was back home in Indiana, and they did notes back and forth. For us, we had the blessing of no one knew we were even talking, with the exception of maybe a handful of people. So we did not have a lot of outside noise to interfere with our relationship, which I think nowadays with social media and people...
It's difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's difficult because you have so many people that want to chime in on your relationship, and we didn't have that noise.
Right. And we didn't realize that until later, that we were blessed with that time frame of people not chiming in and giving us their opinions on why he shouldn't be with me or why I shouldn't be with him. But the second that it went public that we were dating, I mean, I think that's when I felt like we were just deflecting. Like if we were playing tennis, it was like we were constantly on the defense, and it came out of nowhere. It
came out of nowhere, but it came from people that you were close to.
Right.
That people that maybe you were in past relationships.
Right.
It came from a lot of different
other family
areas.
Members.
Absolutely.
It came from, and I don't think that we were prepared for that.
And I think one of the best things for us was, we were only in the States 2 months out of the year, and we would leave to go live in one of these other countries for 10 months.
And it was expensive to call people. So
absolutely.
So we didn't call a lot of people.
And
I called my mom and dad,
and
they never called us. But it was like my mom and dad, like I always try to call them as like at least once a week.
Yes.
But it was crazy because like we had family members that's like, oh, he's got girls everywhere, friends. It's like people that I didn't even know. Like I worked at like the day or the week before we got married. Remember that girl that I worked with at the department store in the makeup department?
Yes.
I didn't even know who she was, but she went to one of your family members, said I was a gold digger and that I was like, and I didn't even know what that was. And you happened to be at the department store when someone called me to tell me.
Yes.
And just basically started yelling at me.
Yelling at you. I remember that.
And I did what I do. I cried. Like I started crying, and I was working in the Estee Lauder makeup.
And I can remember, I'm like,
who are you talking to?
And I hope people don't run her off because I really like this girl. And
I was hoping, like
yes.
I didn't know all of this, and so you was like, who? So you got on the phone and you said, who is this? And they said, well, like, and you talked to them and And the person said, I didn't know you was there. And you said,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You should never talk to her like that. And the other person, that the other lady that I worked with that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody, that her mom knew somebody that went back to say that about me. She was standing there, and I remember you turned around and looked at her and you said, you don't know us, and you need to butt out of our relationship. We're getting married no matter what or who, because like the amount of people that even tried to interrupt the wedding.
Oh, was that a big one? You know, and I consider, yes, I was a sports player. I was a basketball player, but my relationships are no different and were no different than any other individual.
Right.
However, by having that label, you're an athlete or you're a basketball player, I don't know what it does to people, but it
makes them
people,
crazy.
It makes them crazy.
It does.
You know, do you remember this time? And this is a time that it was a former girlfriend, you know, that I had dated a while, you know, that ended up coming around, that learned that I was about to get married and stormed into the house saying, he don't love you, talking to you.
Yeah.
He loves me. And
I forgot about that.
It was crazy.
We were at one of your sister's house, and I mean, she came out of, like, and she had a baby. She's like, this baby's yours. And I was like, because I knew you. I knew I loved you, but I didn't know, like, I was like, well, she obviously wouldn't be lying. Why would anybody lie?
Right.
Like, this is your baby. You need to, like, because I'd never known that people did that.
Our relationship was so,
we were pretty solid.
We were solid, but still we hadn't been together for that long. It brings up questions. Could it be his?
Well, right. I mean, I'm not.
Does he really love her? Does he love me? Does he really want to marry me? It brings up all these other types of questions that all that stuff was way behind me. I had gotten over this. Like I said, my plan was to marry after 30 years old. You know, it was not to marry at 24. But when I found you, I was like,
it gives me anxiety just thinking about that. I kind of forgot about that.
I was like, this is it. This is the girl that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
And I remember you went out in the front yard and you're like, I don't know what you're trying to do.
Yes.
But I don't love you. I love her. And I was just like, I mean, these things didn't happen in Lawrence County. I mean, they maybe did, but like, it was new. And you turned, I remember you turned and you just kind of got me and you said, I love you and I'm marrying you.
Yes.
But then we still had all of this noise in the background. And it's like, I can't even imagine if there was social media. Like, that was a lot.
And that year, I decided to take off. Remember, to not play basketball and to just spend it with you and to work on our marriage.
And I was finishing my degree.
But, you know, halfway through that year, I was like, I'm ready to go.
Right. We were
need
both
to go
ready
back
to go.
over to Europe.
Yeah. Once I was like, let's go. But it's funny because I remember saying to you, I was like, it's okay if that's your baby. You need to like, and we even took the baby. I was like, you need to go get the baby. Like, cause like, what do you know, I'm like, until you get that paternity test and find out.
Oh, and didn't I take the test?
You took the test.
I was like,
and I mean, we had family members like yelling at you because like, how do you deny your baby? This is your baby. Like, and I'm like, it's fine. It's okay if it's his baby. Like
and I'm like, no, it's not. I haven't touched that girl. I don't know where this is coming from.
Just take the test because like everybody but you but you was saying this is your child.
Yes.
And I'm like,
and you were saying,
if it's your child,
do the right thing until you know for sure.
Right. Because you don't want 18 years later to be like, oh, this was my baby. I mean, the baby had your last name. I mean, she gave the baby your last name.
It's crazy.
And I was like, JJ, that's nonsense. Like, honey, I hate to break it to you, but this baby's yours. So even I was saying to you, like, because why would she name the baby? Like,
exactly.
This is all new to me. Like, but that's the difference in professional athlete and little Lawrence County, Indiana, like Jamie Eubanks or Jamie Pierce at the time.
Wanted so badly to stay connected to someone that was in that sport or in that field and that could, I don't know what she was looking for.
Well, it was a Nissan Maxima. Like if I'm being petty.com,
well, she did say
that's
that.
what she said. She's like, I'm getting a Nissan Maxima. I was like, what does that have to do with the baby? But I'm like, once again, whatever. Like,
yeah. So anyway,
that's not very nice that I said that. But that's the only thing I really remember is she's like, I'm getting me a Nissan Maxima out of you. I was like, how would you get a car for a baby? Like, none of it made sense to me.
Yeah.
But
so I don't know. It's obviously something else was going on to make someone want to do something like that. Because I hadn't even been around that girl to even, put her in that predicament.
Right. So you did the paternity test. It came out like
I remember.
It was like there was no possibilities of you being the father.
When we were still in Louisville, Kentucky at the time, and
I said the mail's here.
You said the mail's here. And you handed it to me, and I looked at it.
And I think both of us were just like, oh, like.
I knew it. I was excited.
You said the whole time. He's like, I'm glad.
To open it up.
And I was just like.
Anytime you get a piece of mail like that, you're still there. But I was like, there's no way possible. I was out of the country.
Right.
So I was
I'm like,
I'm out of the country. There's no way in the world.
But in my defense, I'm like, but I mean, I don't know. Did you fly her over? You know what I mean? So it's like, and I'm like, just take the test. Like, take the test.
So I remember opening it up, and of course it said.
And you're like, bam. It's like, I told you it wasn't my baby.
I told everybody.
I was like, but that baby's got your last name. And so I think she ended up changing it.
I
but
think you can give any name.
That's what we found out. Because that, once again, we learned a lot when we were younger. That was that came with that situation, that scenario came with a lot of outside noise.
Yes.
And, doing the right thing. And I always said the whole time, I was like, look, we need to do the right thing. But we kept that paper for like 18 years because my concern, because you was pretty high profile. And my concern was this child when he goes to kindergarten, when he goes, like, he would have family members that have, or he would, when he turns 18, he's like, hey, why were you not there for me? Like, this was my dad and he wasn't there for me. And I'm like, I felt bad for the kid. Like, I felt bad because I'm thinking down the road. But I remember we kept that paper, for probably 18 years, just in case that did come up. That was pretty traumatizing, though. Like, I can't lie. But I think that just also built our bond. And that's when I knew there's a lot of people that don't want to see us succeed. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people, that's when I learned lip service.
Mm-hmm.
People will say they'll say they're your cheerleader. They'll say they want you to do well, that they're in your corner, but they're really not. And so I think that we got that. That was a hard lesson, but I always say, like, everything builds up and prepares us for the next challenge. Like I said in the other episode, we had a lot of people that were our friends. I don't think they wanted to see us fail. I just think they thought these two clowns don't even know each other. Yeah. And I had done stupid stuff, you had done stupid stuff, but man, they couldn't run to you fast enough to tell the stupid stuff I had done. They couldn't wait to tell me the stupid stuff you had done. But so fast forward to when you got your contract in Israel. And that was the first contract that I moved. Well, you actually played with the Pacers for a little while. Then you played in the CBA for a little while. And then you got that offer in Israel that was way better than anything anybody in the United States was talking about. So we moved to Israel. And I remember thinking, I know nothing about Israel, just like I knew nothing about Venezuela. And I think when people ask us, what's our favorite country we've ever lived in? It's Israel. I don't know if it's because it's our first, outside of the United States, but like the other country that we've lived in.
Israel is in each country has something amazing and something special, unique. But we made a lot of friends in a lot of different places, and we experienced a lot of things, and I think that's what adds to us and our personalities and things like that. I feel that we are very cultured. Yeah. We understand a lot of different people, a lot of different the way other people live. Right. What's important to them, how they celebrate each other, how they spend time with each other. What their challenges are, because we've been to places like parts of Argentina, parts of Venezuela, where
we've seen extreme poverty,
and we've seen extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
So we've kind of seen it all and been a part of all of that. So when you talk about what's our favorite, there's things that are my favorite in Israel. There's things that are my favorite in Italy. There's things that are my favorite in Argentina.
Right.
So
we have wonderful memories in every country we've ever lived in.
But speaking of Israel, since that was the question, and you brought up Israel, Israel's absolutely amazing. You know, most people think that Israel is dry, desert. Yes. Historical.
Yeah, that was pretty phenomenal.
Biblical, that's all the things that most people think, mountains, when you think about Israel. But what they don't think about Israel is green as a golf course where there's grass. They don't think about the safari parks. They don't think about Tel Aviv's like a small New York.
It is.
They don't think about Israel being a small country, so it's surrounded by beaches. They don't think about Israel being extremely friendly people that invite you to the house.
It was very modern.
For all of the all of the holidays, even though the holiday has nothing to do with you, you have no connection to the holiday. They invite you into their homes and they celebrate with you. They
were very welcoming.
Oh, absolutely. And you can find everything over there. Hard Rock Cafe, TGI Fridays,
Domino's
Pizza, Mr. Gatti's, Burger King.
Yeah, I think they even had some knockoff restaurants.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite is the Mr. Gatti's, had to be kosher.
Yeah. The pizza.
Yeah, the pizza had to be kosher. So what they had on they had like fish,
tuna, and corn.
Corn.
And when we tell people that, they're like, ooh, I was like, that's actually
best pizza I've ever.
Yeah.
Other than the pizza in Italy.
So
they're totally different though.
Yeah.
But man, the pizza, it was really good.
So I think another thing that's really interesting that a lot of people may not know about us is when we moved to Israel, I think that was the first year that we decided we were going to live off of $1,000 a month.
Yes.
And we wired the rest of his salary back to America, and we did not budge. If we didn't have, I remember one time we had to go to Lamont and Adria's and borrow some water. Because we didn't have, because we always drank filtered water or bottled water. And I had gotten pickpocketed in Jerusalem in the holy city, and we were out of money, but we never dipped in. We never used the ATM. We never dipped in, but we used that $1,000 for gas, for phone bills, for entertainment. So we would go to the movies, we would go to eat in restaurants, we went camping in the Sea of Galilee.
Absolutely, yes.
So we had to save our money up, and we bought a tent. And I mean, in here, like, everybody's making really good money and living like they're making good money. And you and I are literally like, we got to save up to get a tent and some sleeping bags, because next month we're going to go camping at the Sea of Galilee. Or we're going to, like, on your off days, we would go to the old city in Jerusalem a lot. But I got pickpocketed, and I think they got me for like $750, which then left us.
Use some of that money for
Christmas. And that left us with no money. So we had to go and ask your teammate and his girlfriend at the time, it's his wife now, if we could have a couple of bottles of water, because but I think that's interesting, because like I said, a lot of times, like, he was a basketball player, but we could live under the radar. Like, we weren't flashy. Like, I didn't have sequin pants back then, but we really knew that basketball wasn't going to last forever. So we wanted to maximize and invest. And so I think that first year we bought a house, and then the next year I think we bought another house, and then the next summer we bought another house, and so we started like where other people were collecting purses and fancy jewelry and stuff like that. We were purchasing like homes that needed to be refurbished. And
I think the reason that we made the decision to live off of $1,000 a month went all the way back to our early childhood, where when you were growing up, your mom and dad were blue collar workers.
Yeah. My mom worked at a factory, and my dad was a railroader.
Absolutely. So, you wasn't.
We weren't rich.
Poverty stricken.
Yeah.
But
we weren't
you
poor,
wasn't
but
rich.
we were middle class.
You were more middle class, and you were told when you were in school that you wasn't going to turn out to be anything, and that you couldn't do certain things.
Well, it's because my reading abilities, even to this day, are mediocre at best. I can't spell anything to save my life. So, I mean, like you said, nobody had high expectations for me.
You didn't let that limit you.
No.
So, and for me, it was the struggles that I had, growing up with my mom and dad. Again, the collar workers, both worked at GE. Dad ended up getting hurt. Mom had to take care of the family. So I started to hustle. And when I say I hustled. I took the lawnmower out, cut people's grass.
What about the mousetraps? That was the most ingenious entrepreneurship.
I took out their garbage. I went to the grocery store.
Carried out grocery bags.
Absolutely. I washed their cars. I washed their houses and porches.
Yeah.
I did whatever it was I could in order to make a dime, to kind of help out. I remember times when, and I hated beans. Remember beans when we first got married?
I thought beans
hated beans.
I thought beans was a delicacy because we would only get it like once or twice every month or so.
Exactly. Because you wasn't let down to your last 59 cents for a bag.
Right, but that's perception.
Yes, it is.
Perception was, I loved beans. It is. And we never got them that often.
And when we got married and you kept fixing beans, I said, Jamie,
my cousin Alan said, that's the poor man's. That's poor man. Because he came from Indiana. And I was like, I'll fix beans. And he's like, and he looked at me and he's like, that's a poor man's food.
Yeah,
I said, poor man's food. That was when I found out that beans wasn't a delicacy and that it was, it was used whenever you didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And you scrounged up what money you had. And I later asked my mom and dad, I was like, why did we? And they said, well, when we had it, it was because it was that, we were running out of money. And I said, so it was the same reason that you had beans.
Exactly.
Same
reason.
But it was perception. My mom and dad never said that it was because, I never knew that my mom and dad's, had times that they were worried about money. I never knew that.
Yeah, so continuing the point, it was the challenges and the struggles, I think, that got us to only spend $1,000 a month and to save because, the people told me the same thing. I was told, don't recruit him because he can't do college work. I'm like, really? I can't do college work? They never even looked at my history, my upbringing. They never looked at the struggles that I was going through, which at that time, the struggles that I was going through was far greater than me hitting the book. It was more, where am I going to lay my head and what am I going to eat for the day? So I had some of those struggles, okay? It was never, I couldn't do the work.
Yeah.
But I knew because of those struggles that I had, what am I going to eat and where am I going to lay my head? I knew once I made money, I was going to be able to buy a home.
Right.
And I will never be in that situation again.
Right.
Which is the reason we started investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Because once we went to Israel and we started earning money.
Yeah.
When we came back to the States, all of our friends they were working.
Everybody was working. My grandparents were the only ones that were retired.
Correct. And we had two and a half months, being in the States, and we didn't want to use the funds that we had earned that was in the bank and waste them doing stuff here for the 2.5 months. So we started flipping houses, and the very first house we flipped was my dad's house.
Yeah. We bought it, I think, for $10,000.
Yes.
And you and I did all of the work, and you said, oh, my land's it's got this big hole in the wall. And I said, I think, because my mom was an entrepreneur, so she also hung wallpaper and she did miscellaneous things as an entrepreneur. I just didn't know that's what it was at the time.
And you ordered that Bob Villa book.
I did. I said, there's a way we can fix this without tearing down the whole wall and having to do the drywall.
Yes.
So I ordered a Bob Villa book and a VHS tape on how to repair a wall and use chicken wire and it's and so I know how to do that. We learned how to lay ceramic tile. We learned how to put up cabinets. Really the only thing that we didn't do was electric, plumbing and roofing. So anything that required a skilled or licensed person, we would hire for that. But everything else, we learned how to do it.
And I think people look at it now, said, oh, look, they are doing a bunch of real estate. It must have been easy, whatever. What about the snakes underneath the house?
What about the poop house?
Or the poop that's right on the walls?
Every house that we bought, it was like there was the cat house because it smelled like cat.
The turkey that was in the refrigerator for 2 years.
That was the turkey house. And my grandma ended up, Granny Annie, because me and you were like, I was gagging because the house stunk, but we couldn't figure out why. But it had been vacant for 2 or 3 years, and there was a turkey in a deep freezer. And as soon as it was opened, it was like death.
Yes.
But my grandma, she wasn't afraid of anything. She was a savage. And so she took that turkey, and I remember she took it outside. But we also had what we named the poop house. We will never tell the new owners which house that is. But it was because the people that had it taken away by the bank, they took feces, like human feces, and smeared it all over the walls. And I'll never forget in that auction, because here we are, everybody's like, okay, he's a professional basketball player. She's kind of they're kind of fancy, but we can't really figure them out.
Yes.
People couldn't figure us out. No. And that was I think another key to our success is people couldn't figure us out. What were we do they have money? Do they not have money? If they have money, why would they be buying a house with feces on it? But it was always a part of the game too. It was the chase. It was so I remember going to that auction.
Yes. My favorite part is your nickname.
Oh my gosh. You and Dad, I didn't even know that these people were calling you this.
Yes.
So we would go to the sheriff's cells, and by now people are seeing that we're kind of churning and burning these houses every summer. So then more people start showing up, because the way this works is if somebody sees that you're making money, then everybody wants to make the money. So then they started coming out from nowhere. And so you and Dad were on the golf course, and somebody brought
hardballer.
I'm
I like that.
So crazy, because I would always bid, because we found that I was less intimidating to do the bidding, because I'd be like, oh, poor me. But I was firm but then I would play mind games.
In your mind, you were less intimidating.
But I would also play mind games, because I knew the second. And so this is way before
the second that somebody said, and we'll do this.
Oh,
okay, I'm going to bid. Okay, I'm going to bid.
Yeah.
$1,000.
$2,000.
That quickly.
Yeah, and you can't, you have to have a poker face. You can't. And the second, because JJ and I, we would always go and look at these houses. Sometimes you could go in, sometimes you had to look at the windows. So you had to assess. If the kitchen is demolished, how much is the kitchen? How much are, because kitchens and bathrooms are the most expensive things. So we always knew, but we would always look at the foundation, because the foundation is a very expensive foundation roof. There were certain things that we looked at. It's okay, roof, worst case scenario. If we couldn't get in, we would have a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, we'll have X amount of dollars in this. So we always had a number.
Yeah.
But I knew I had these people the second they brought out their notepad or their calculator.
They started calculating.
I was like, I knew that they didn't do their research. They didn't know how much they were going to need to make a profit. We already knew that. We did our research. We knew how much. So we knew.
How much we can put into it, how much we can sell it for.
And another game, so now that we don't do this anymore, that we can spill the beans and spill our secrets, is everybody's like, oh, he'll buy her whatever she wants. So people started then bidding us up. But I became pervy to this, and this is probably why they nicknamed me Hardballer, because I knew what they were doing, because I could see, because I knew the people. We lived in Lawrence County. It's a very small town, so you knew everybody's actions, and I'm really good at people reading most of the time. I sometimes get fooled, but people reading, and I think that comes with having a reading disability, or it's I think you learn to solve problems in other ways. So I can read people. So when I got that hint that they were bidding me up, and they were bidding us up, and so then I would go up, but I could always tell right when they started getting nervous. So then I would back out, and then they would get stuck paying, 20-30% more than what they should have. So that's when they're like, hey, maybe we should work together. It's maybe we should work together, but don't try to play me.
You're such a hardballer.
I know. Well, that's what. So I was like, Dad, that's offensive. He's like, it's kind of cool, but I was like, it's not cool. That these men, because it was a man's world. There were no women at these.
And
we
went in knowing exactly what type of product was going to fit our portfolio. It had to be 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It could be 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, ranch style. So we wanted to keep our expenses as low as possible in case
we had an equation.
In case we decided to keep it. So some of the properties we would flip, some of the properties we would put into our portfolio and just rent.
Right.
So as long as it matched exactly what we're doing, if it was a single level, we knew that if it went into our portfolio as a rental, we knew that it was going to be less for people when it comes to AC, water, and gas, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I said but I meant like the electric and all of that stuff. And then also if there's a leak, leak upstairs, like the damage. Yeah, so there was a lot of things, but a ranch 3-4 like bedroom was like we had our houses. They needed to be built in like 80 or above.
Yes.
Like we knew what we were after, but we never told people because you always got to keep your
we didn't want to deal with lead paint or anything like that. And people just couldn't see past a roof that had trees over the top of it, where it just had the
right. It wasn't even complicated.
It wasn't. You get
like,
a bottle of bleach.
Get up there and
bleach and a spray hose and brighten that sucker up.
Right. And we would there was always somebody that needed money too. So it was like I remember one time we hired like an 18-year-old to crawl under a crawl space that like because I get claustrophobic. Yeah. You're huge, so you don't fit in crawl spaces. But I think we paid him to go under there and he cleaned it out. He was happy as a lark, just happy as could be. But I think that was when it dawned, like that was another aha moment that not everybody wants to see you win and not everybody wants to see you succeed because like they saw, even though we were kind of flying under the radar, once they saw what we were doing, like then it was like, oh, we need to stop them. We need to, and that's when the competitors or that's when other people were like, oh, well, if they're making money at this, we need to make money at that. So that's where we learned like just fly under the radar as long as you can. Because once you're above the radar, that's when the vultures come out to play.
Fly under the radar, however, but don't be afraid to take a chance.
Oh, 100%. So I think a lot of people would be surprised. Like, well, what did you do with the poop house? Like, remember, I suited up in like a hazmat. I had rubber gloves. I had like a mask on.
That's a great house. I remember exactly what we paid for that house.
Yeah, it was like 40.
No, we paid 20,000.
Had 40 in it, put 20 in it, or we bought it for 20, put 20 in it.
Yes.
Sold it for like 85 or
89.
Yeah, 89.
That was a quick, $49,000 or so.
That really we could have been sitting at home and eating and gaining weight and instead we were working in a house and we never turned on the air. We never turned on the air in these houses, and it was the summer. I was like, oh no, because that'll be an extra $100, $200 a month if we turn on the air. Because everything had to make sense. It had to, our time.
And we talked to your parents at one point when we had decided that we were going to go into a venture together.
Yeah.
And however, we ended up not doing it.
Right.
And we found out quickly how fast real estate can
transition. Like how fast it moves.
So this is the time when we were looking at Fuzzy Zeller's golf course.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda moments.
Yes.
But this would fall in that, we missed it.
Yes. So,
we missed this opportunity.
When we first went there, they had those little duplexes.
Yeah, they were like duplex. They were side by side.
Shared a swimming pool, 2,100 square feet each side. And we had decided that we were going to split it in half and buy one.
Yeah.
But we ended up not pulling the trigger on that. We didn't do that.
Mm-hmm. How much were those when we were looking at them?
$85,000.
A couple years later, how much were they?
$385,000.
That was when we said, because my mom I love my mom, love her to death. But my mom was a shoulda, coulda, woulda. Oh, we should have bought that house. Oh, we should have done this. Oh, we should have done that. And I remember saying, I don't want to do that, because once we missed that opportunity, I said, I would rather take a leap of faith. And I would rather take a jump and lose money than ever think shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
And so that was something, because I think that was an aha moment for us, like not to pass up. But that also brings up, we have nothing against investors, like nothing. We've had some really good investors. But I remember, like, was it 2008 when, like, the economy, like the stock, the housing market, stock market, like people's 401ks and all of that kind of shifted. And my dad had done really well with CSX stock, So I think it was around 2008 when he retired, and then like he retired in August, and then like within a month, like it went down like 80% or something like that. And I think that was like, I was like, oh, we knew that like if we lose money, we want to be because we made a mistake. We lost it, not because of some executive at Fortune 500 or Fortune 100. I don't even know what they're called. A really big company, because the CEO or their executives or board members made a decision that, like, it just investing blindly into people that you don't really know, that they have no interest if you do well or not. I think that is one of the keys to our success. But like I said, I mean, we could lose it all tomorrow, and I'm okay with that, because I would rather, if we lose it,
we lost it,
because then that way we're not mad at anybody but ourselves. But I think that was the moment that we're like, because we had actually paused buying real estate in that time frame, because things did get so crazy, and like you really didn't know what it was gonna do.
And that's what I was gonna say. Learning all the things that we've learned through real estate, has been, I think, positive for us, because we've learned how to run different parts of our business. It's not just real estate that we have invested in.
We did your basketball camp. It was a nonprofit, but we did your basketball camp.
Clothing.
eBay store.
And the travel. We've taken a lot of what we've learned, even through real estate, and we brought it over to travel. And it's just been spectacular.
Because I think at the end of the day, the one thing that is the common denominator with every business venture that we've been in is we love the people that we work with. We absolutely, in the real estate, we developed really good friends and relationships with a lot of the people that we've either rented to, that we've sold to, that we contracted out. We've just made friends with that. In basketball camp, like what a fun thing. I mean, we were running a basketball camp. We had to limit it to 100 kids, and we did it 1 week it was like the second week in June, because it was when like you had a little break there that we could do it, and that was really neat. We met a lot of kids. Actually, Betsy Mundy, that works in our office now, she was one of your campers.
Yes.
Chase Briscoe was one of your campers.
Right.
We have so many people, but like we knew their parents. They later grew up, and we ended up doing business adventures with them. And but I think that the one common denominator that led us to Magical Vacation Planner is I want to work with people that I love and that I trust, and that also reflect what we're about and what we want to be about. We want to impact people's lives in a positive way.
You know what? You just brought us something really important, I think. Even Chase Briscoe, we've impacted his life. Betsy Mundy, we've impacted his life. And just yesterday, one of our contractors that's doing some work for us right now, that's laying some wooden floors, I went with him to go see some stone for some steps, so some travertine. And I got a call, and I was talking to my mom yesterday, and the contractor heard that it was my mom, and he asked me if I could put it on speaker. And I was like, what are you going to say? Why do you want me to put it on speaker?
Oh.
He said, can you just put it on speaker? And he said, hello, Miss Barbara. My mom's name is Barbara, of course, you know that. He said, hello, Miss Barbara. He said, I just want to tell you, you have an amazing son, and I love him. He helps me so much. And it just brought tears to my eyes, because I think that everywhere we've been, all the things we've done, it has all come back, to people.
Right.
And touching people, impacting people, having relationships with people. And I think that's what, is what life is about.
So now I have to ask, was it Joe?
It was Joe.
Oh, I love him.
Joe. Yes.
I was going to say, he always, and his wife actually, I saw her yesterday as well, and she hugged me. And, I tell you, that's the thing I love about our life, is we meet so many people from so many walks of life. They're from Brazil. They came to America a while back. Their little son is just as cute as a button. He's really shy, but
he lets loose around us.
He does.
Because he does. Feels comfortable.
I saw a paper airplane up in one of our window sills, and there's a bottle because DJ Dwayne's son, he asked me, he's like, did you see that bottle? Like there's literally a bottle of water like 30 feet up in the air that is in a windowsill. And I was like, yeah. I said, I saw that. I said, do you know how that got there? And he said, me and my friend. I said, is your friend's name Sammy? He said, yeah. And so they were doing a bottle flipping thing. So I think they thought it would be cool to see how high up. I don't think they thought it through.
And stayed up there.
Yeah, I don't think they thought it through because if they did it too hard, it would have probably busted the window.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But that's kids.
I love it. I love the people we meet. Now, I'm not trying to sugarcoat this and make it sound like everybody that meets us, it's a beautiful relationship because like, it's not a match for everybody that comes in and out of our lives. But I would say 99% of the people, they impact our lives just as much as we impact their lives. And I think like as we got a little bit older, you know, my Granny Annie passed, you had, you know, some of your grandparents passed, and, you know, we see that. I think it makes you think like, what do you want our legacy to be? And I think I always said that when Anne passed away, I said her legacy lives on through me. It lives on through me through MVP, because a lot of the ways that I see and that I believe in kind of come from Anne. It comes from my mom and dad. Like it's, you know, always you're never going to go wrong doing the right thing. You're never going to go wrong by treating somebody better than you want to be treated. You know, pick up trash when nobody's looking. Do things that nobody wants to do. Be kind.
All the time.
And
Positive
so,
all the time.
So I think that when Annie passed away, I think it was hard on me, but I think that just knowing that her legacy will always live on through me, and if I can teach our kids, our grandkids, to also have those same habits and those same values. I think that's the right. I think that we talked about that yesterday, like values.
Yes.
I think if we can pass those on, then that's our legacy. And so I think with MVP, that's what we look for. MVP is not for everybody. You know, it's like, but if it is for you, you know it, you feel it. It's not a company, it's a way of being, it's a way of acting. It's doing the right thing when nobody's looking, you know.
Right. And, you know, just growing up as kids, you know, you always think, oh, well, what does my mom and my dad
Oh, my
know?
gosh. Like,
and as
our parents were so dumb.
Yeah. And as you age, you know,
they
you
got
start
smarter.
realizing exactly.
The older we got, the smarter our parents became.
And, you know, and we're looking out, and now we're grandparents.
Yeah.
With baby Jackson, who is absolutely adorable.
The next chapter
and amazing.
in our lives. Yeah.
But our daughter is understanding, now that she's a parent.
That we're not as dumb as she
exactly
thought.
what it's like, you know, when you are making decisions not only for yourself, but for your baby and, you know, that whole baby's life, you know, everything you do, baby first, you know, even before yourself.
Yeah.
So I think she's getting to understand some of those things now. So, and it's really cool to see, you know, it's like a light bulb, like a switch kind of turns on, and it's like oh. That's what you were doing at that time. You know, they think, you know, when they become adults, you know, they can protect themselves or we're still overprotected because, you know, we still are worried and concerned about them, you know. But that goes on forever. That never changes.
I always, when we talk about this and like how like our parents got smarter the older that we got, I remember when Dwayne was in high school and he had a friend over, and I knew they were up to no good because once again, I'm really good at reading. Not always. If I'm sidetracked or I'm thinking about something, I will miss the sign.
This isn't the time when I was cutting the grass and I looked at the tree and noticed that the screen from Dwayne's window was taken off and laying back against the screen.
That's when he was, that was a different time. But this was when he and his friend were sneaking out again, but we had already, this was after you did that because you put the screen back in and said, hey, Dwayne, I think your screen fell out in your window. I fixed it for you. Yeah. So you made him know that you knew that his screen was out, but you didn't let him know that you knew that he was sneaking out because we could see, like, on the windowsill, like, his like, because we hadn't done our spring cleaning, so you could see, like, the dust marks where he had slid out the window, and then I think he had killed one of the bushes, like he landed on it or something. But we didn't let him know that we knew.
Also, the screen had these little clips that, you know, you got to pull them out of the hole just to get the screen out and push them in. Yes.
So we knew that he was sneaking out. But this time that I'm talking about, I knew that they were about to do something. So I I got I had a double broiler in the oven that had the bottom that catches the grease on a double broiler. So I walked all the way around because I said they're sneaking out of the basement because they hardly ever went to the basement in the daytime. They would go down there and watch movies at night. But I put this double broiler up against the outside doors that led to the outside. So as soon as they opened the door, they couldn't see it. And our bedroom sat right above that door. And so I knew that if they opened the door, the pan would fall. And so I had my windows up. And so it was not 10 minutes after I went back up to my bedroom. It's like, bam. And I was like, hey, Wayne. And I said, I'm not gonna call this friend out on this show.
I know who the
yeah. And I said, hey guys. I said, what y'all doing? And then they come, they were like trying to come up with a lie. I said, hey, don't forget that me and your Uncle JJ wrote the book on shenanigans when we were your age. We've been there. We did it. And so, anyway, that was just letting them know, hey, we're not as dumb as you think we are.
Yes.
Don't sneak out to go see the girls.
Exactly.
And so... but yeah, I think that was, it's so neat being married for 30 years, the different, even the evolution of MVP. When I started selling travel, we focused on Disney. I thought I knew everything. Nobody could tell me anything. But then the more I did Disney and the more I did travel, and then I thought I was the best travel agency, in the world. I know everything there is, but then the more I did it, the more I found out what I didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know. That's true.
Yes.
And so
and the other
it's
thing
just
is,
neat to look back at the 30 years.
Oh, absolutely. And you found a lot of success and you brought a lot of people along.
I've made a lot of mistakes, though.
But a lot of mistakes. And, I read a lot of books and I look at a lot of shows, and there's always one common theme. The successful people, the number of times they actually failed. Right. Or they struggled. And again, they don't look at those as failure. They look at those as learning opportunities. Yeah. We look at the Food that Made America.
Right. I love on the History Channel. I love that show.
Look how many times over and over and over they tried and they tweaked and it didn't work, and they did it over and over.
And then the competitors, the competitors.
Yes.
There's always, if you have something that's good, there's always going to be people trying to take you down.
Exactly.
Always.
But that one thing that sticks can make all the difference.
Right. You just need one thing that sticks. And I feel like in our life we have two. I feel like business-wise, I feel like we have two. A lot of people don't know about the real estate. We do pretty okay in that. And, like I said, we've got some wins. We have some that's not wins. But one thing that we're not afraid of is we're not afraid to try. And we're not afraid to make that jump.
Yeah, and what the market's done over the last couple of years is just insane.
It was a good time to be in real estate down here in Orlando the last couple of years. And so, people would ask me, what do I love best? Do I like real estate or do I love the travel agency? I think we impact a lot more people with the travel agency. So I love that side of it. I love the challenge. I love, trying to how do you get to the next level? How do you push your people without pushing them too hard? A lot of our original agents that's been with us 10 years or longer, we talk about this, how did this, from Lawrence County, Indiana, how did this travel agency, in 16 years, be a powerhouse in the industry?
Well, I think it goes back to, again, early childhood. Yeah. You not making the cheerleading team. You always wanting that.
I just wanted to do something.
To be your drive. Yeah. You're being turned down at the bank, opportunities and things that's a part of your drive. And then you become extremely competitive, just like sports. Yeah. For me, getting cut, in the 9th grade, making the team in the 10th grade, but not making freshmen like I
think a lot of people don't know that about you, that you didn't make the basketball team.
And freshman, I tried out for the freshman team and got cut. Yeah. So, heartbroken. Yeah. But that didn't stop me, because my sophomore year, I tried out for the JV team, but I made the varsity. So that whole year, all the things that I had done, I stayed on the basketball court.
Right.
all
And that's
the
what
time.
I did with cheerleading too.
Mom
I never
told
made
me to
it
go
in
to the
Indiana.
grocery store, get a gallon of milk. I can remember going to the grocery store, getting a gallon of milk. In the summertime, court was right across the street from the store. I'd go over to play a couple games of basketball. By the time I got home, the milk was warm or sour.
I know your mom would
she
be
was
mad about that.
because milk was expensive.
Yeah.
So
she tells that story about how like she would be frustrated because like the milk would be not good by the time you got home because you stopped by the basketball court.
Exactly, and spend hours and hours just playing because I had a love for the game.
Right.
And, I was upset that I didn't make the team. All my friends in the neighborhood made it.
And it's a little embarrassing when you don't make
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
But that sophomore year, I made it, and then I made, college, and I ended up playing, professional. But that becomes your drive.
It really does.
That becomes the chase that you're after, and when you look at travel, when you look at travel, that became our chase.
Right.
It wasn't about a number we were trying to get to. It's about how competitive
we're our biggest competitors.
Absolutely.
Like me and you we're our own competitors.
Absolutely. And it's about us wanting to be the best at whatever it is that we do. It's not, being the best at Disney.
Right.
Just being the best at Universal. It's being the best overall. It's being
just waking up and being the best us that we can be.
It's being the best owners we can for all the magical vacation plan advisors. Having the best education.
Parent.
Being the best parent, being the best son, the best brother. All of those things. It's just being the best. It becomes a part of who you are.
Oh, look, we're even finishing each other's sentences after 30 years.
After 30 years.
I think that you just said something a minute ago that is a key to success. Is you said, I went to the basketball court because I loved it. And you didn't win. You didn't make the team. So let's say you didn't win. But you practiced and you practiced and you practiced because you loved it. If you don't love something, you're not in your spare time going to put in the hard work. You're not going to do the hard work that nobody else wants to put in. Because like what a lot of people now see, they see MVP at, having dinner with these executives on the cruise lines, at Disney, at Universal. Like they see this stuff on social media, but what they didn't see was I would eat, live, and breathe everything travel. Like I loved it. I loved my people. I love our vendors.
Disney,
you even know that. Like I love everything Disney. I love our vendor. Like I love our BDMs. I love our regionals. I love everybody.
And you want to see them do well and be successful.
And I know that if we don't do well, they don't hit goal. If we so our success, our agent's success is our success. Our success is our agent's success. But in turn, our agent's success is our BDM. It's our, the vice presidents, because they have to hit goal. They give us tools to help us get where we're wanting to go. So we always have these meetings. But, the thing of it is that if you don't love what you do, you're not going to put in the time. I mean, I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love everything about MVP. I love everything about the real estate that we do.
Let me take a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Our success is our agent's success, is the BD success, is our agent's kid's success.
Right, their community
is our
success.
Agent's community success. Is their teacher's success.
Right.
Everything trickles down. It's their sports team, local community, all of that.
Right. Because I think a lot of times what, like when you do climb up, let's just call it the corporate ladder, you remember the people that was good to you when they weren't getting anything out of it. Right. And you remember the people that want to be in your story now that you are successful. And then it's like, oh, well, why don't you do this? It's like, well, because I'm going to reward the people that did it because they loved it. I'm going to reward the people that's been on this journey with us, that's been loyal to us. So as we wrap this up, I think that really the moral of the story is in whatever it is that you do, if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. And I think that JJ and I are really a product of that philosophy. You loved basketball and it didn't feel, I don't know, at times it probably did feel like work. Even when I worked at the bank, like I loved it. I didn't love that I kept getting passed up for promotions. So I found another direction to go. But if you love what you do and you find your passion and you love the people that's around you and you are a better person for that, it just makes life really enjoyable.
It really, really does. As you said, all the industries that I've worked in, basketball, contract furniture, real estate, no matter the industry, I've always loved what I've done. So
that's the key to our success.
It is. Love what you do.
We pivot if we don't.
Absolutely.
That's a basketball term.
That is.
So thank you for joining us on this episode of Unscripted with Jamie and JJ.